Welcome back to Stream It. We're back to having a remote episode. Haven't done this in a
Yeah,
while.
sometimes you just got to be a little extra safe.
Yeah, we were just feeling a little crazy today. But it is we missed a week, but it's still technically week 3 of Spook Fest. And now
Well,
we're
we
on
built
to
this in.
Yeah, we did. We had
Sorry.
a fail,
We did. We were prepared.
so it's perfect. But now we're on thrillers. And then next week will be our final week, which is horror. Just all out horror. So we have an opening question that once again is from Tom. All the good ones have been
You got all
coming
these
from
great
Tom
questions.
lately.
I'm an
And that is,
inquisitive guy.
are there any specific objects that you think are scary? Does anyone
So
want to-
I don't know why I thought of it. I forget what we were talking about. Oh,
Stranger
it was the Stranger Things. Grandfather clocks. They're like a spooky object. Like properly timed in a scary movie, they're kind of scary. Like they'll dong right at the right time and make you jump. They're usually like covered in cobwebs in an attic. It's just a good object in a scary movie.
I feel like part of that's because they're old and
Yeah.
well, no, it's just like leaves it. It's a spooky haunted house or like an old, untouched, deserted place, and it makes sense that that would be a setting that would be spooky.
I feel like it's their height too. They're usually really tall.
Yeah, and
Really narrow.
yeah, like a kid would be afraid of it.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
Thank you.
That is a good one. Has that always been a fear, or did Stranger Things really like make you think like, oh, those are scary?
No, I think when I think of like scary movies and stuff, that's just like an object that like you see. I think like cartoons when we were kids, always when they did like a Halloween episode, they always had a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
I don't like walk by one in an older house and I'm not just like but they're a good prop.
Constantly afraid.
I like the squeaky swing that's just like slowly moving in a park.
For
And you're
sure.
just like, is that a well, or wherever, but is that a ghost? Why is it moving? It's squeaking. It's creepy. I think that's what these objects do, is they just have that little bit of creepiness that's like, something gives me the willies about that.
So I had something similar. I had rocking chair,
Oh yeah.
usually like the older style looking ones, because that's usually
Yeah.
where the doll is sitting and it's suddenly
Yeah.
moving or it's moving on its own, but also a rocking horse.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's more than a chair.
Yeah.
Anything that
Fun
kind of
one.
normally moves a little bit, but you're wondering if it's supposed to be moving.
Yep.
I guess also dolls, but that's like if you watch the Annabelle movies or the Conjuring movies, there's a doll and it's like they're making it scary.
Also, like any old toys sometimes can have that like haunted feeling.
Well, I think last week we talked about the Conjuring movies, or 2 weeks ago, the Conjuring and Insidious, and these go hand in hand. In those movies, one has this little thing that goes around and sings a song called "The Slender Man," I think, or not this. I forget the name of it.
Oh, the Crooked Man.
The Crooked Man, and then along those same lines, like an old phonograph that will play like old creepy music. That's in Insidious, and they use it. It's like perfectly used, and you're like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
This isn't an object, but The Conjuring and Insidious just reminded me whenever there's like children involved, children are like the scariest people in scary movies.
When they're like possessed or something.
Yeah. Or like well, I guess they were like kind of possessed. In the second season of Haunting of Hill House, there's like 2 young children that have like very strong British accents, and immediately you're like, ooh, these are the creepiest people in the whole show. It's like twin siblings that like are very properly English, and you're like, ooh, nope,
Yeah.
don't like it.
I feel like we could make a really creepy opening to something just with all of these things, like grandfather clock, swing, rocking chair.
Well, I think we mentioned it in the early like family one. When you have a chance, like anyone watching this, if you don't know it, like look up Are You Afraid of the Dark? Their opening is like a swing, creaky stairs. It's like all
Oh,
these things.
stairs or doors are good too.
Yeah. So look it up. The original Are You Afraid of the Dark opening, they like nail it. You're like, I want no part of this show.
That's like American Horror Story. They change it every season, but it's just like disturbing images, like one after the other, with just loud,
Yeah.
like it's barely even music. It's more just like unpleasant noise that you have to like endure for like a minute.
Yeah.
So it's effective. All right.
Good question.
Yeah, good question. Get ready to make another one for next week. Thrillers.
What's our definition? What's our definition of thrillers?
So that's what I was like thinking about, because I don't feel like thrillers don't necessarily have to be like scary, because there's like action thrillers, crime thrillers. But I feel like you still always have the feeling of like whenever you're like on the edge of your seat, like anticipating something.
Yeah.
Unpleasant.
I agree. Or it's like really like a without getting too horror-y, kind of messes with your brain, like what is happening, like what a twisted situation. But it's again that anticipation and like wondering what's going to happen next, kind of. But it gives you that uneasy feeling, and that's why it's in this like spookfest category, because a thriller always gets you like a little bit wound up, and then you're like, what's going to happen? And usually it leaves you like with a wow.
Yeah, a little psychological
movies,
thriller.
Yeah, some of the best movies, I think, and like the most well written like ideas and stuff fall in this category.
I feel like it's the most approachable for me personally. Like I like scary movies, but like I think that I'm more likely to watch a thriller than like a straight up like horror movie, because I can kind of handle them a little better.
Yeah, I think they tend to go a little bit more away from like the really disturbing, like the messed up stuff, because it's like we don't want to wow you with like how intense we can make this. We want to wow you with like what a crazy story and like this like what's gonna happen thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this category as well.
So I put the ones that we had talked about, and then I also threw on a lot of my own, and I put them in order of when they came out for no reason.
Yeah,
just
geez,
to help
very
us.
meticulous.
But the first one that I thought of, and is probably not the first, but one of the first was, have you seen Psycho? Like 1960 Psycho?
Yeah.
I feel like that's like, it's like the famous like black and white like shower scene.
You know,
guy
like
rips
Norman Bates, Bates Hotel.
I don't know.
Pretty popular.
Maybe I haven't seen it. It's not ringing any bells.
It's very good.
Well, yeah, I feel like it was like, it must be considered like the first big thriller that was like that came out. It's really good.
Yeah.
And like it still works now.
So I was just gonna say, I wonder how that like played in 1960, because I've heard that there's stories of Alfred Hitchcock having to like fight to get like a normal rating on it because people were so like scared, because they like don't show the killer, and even in that scene they were like, it's indecent, she's in the shower, and they're like, she's going to be naked, and he's like, no, she's not, she's going to have a shower cap on. And he had to like fight all this stuff. So I wonder when people saw that, because like Jaws scared people to the point where they wouldn't go. We've said this, wouldn't go swimming in a pool. So for like
Yeah.
a movie to have like that creepy sound, like music, and like an unknown killer until the reveal at the end, is like I really wonder what that did to people in theaters.
And
Yeah.
I wonder if, in the same way that like Jaws made it so that people were afraid to go in the ocean, like did this affect like motels, like
Oh,
creepy
I
like
bet it did.
motels? And then my mom obviously didn't see it in 1960, but later when she saw it, she was like, it kind of made you nervous to like close your eyes in the shower for a while. Like
Oh God.
that was like the first, and now like that scene has been used in like every horror movie ever now, but
Yeah, and just film techniques have changed where you watch it and you're like, okay, that lingered a little long. Like the cuts aren't really quick, so it's not as like make you jump as much.
yeah. So I recommend that, Cam.
I know. I guess I
Yeah,
gotta tune in. I
you
actually
obviously
do like
didn't
watching.
take. Go ahead.
I do like going back and watching older movies like that, and like what you guys are talking about, seeing how they cut and how they do it. It almost feels like a little bit authentic. Whereas like right now, it's so like fast paced with cuts and stuff because they're just like they can film more and like tell more and shoot more and angles and all this stuff. So it's like kind of cool to see it like go back to basics. That's kind of just a general comment with like old movies, but um, I would like to go back and see this one. I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I can't like picture it.
You
Right
would, you would definitely just like see screen grabs from the movie and be like,
now.
oh
Yeah,
right, yeah, that.
maybe I'll look it up after the show and see. But yeah,
And you would know the music as soon as you heard it.
yeah, cool.
So should we just move down the list, or like do you guys want to
Yeah,
like
I mean we could bounce around, but I'm good with just moving down.
sure. So then in 1980, we have The Shining, which I only saw for the first time 2 years ago. And I feel like that is like the definition of like psychologically thrilling. Like I've never felt so uneasy watching a movie. And like for most of it, it's like nothing's happening for
It's a
probably like
very
80
slow
of it.
build.
But the whole time you're still like, I think it's also just like back to like the shots that like
Mm-hmm.
followed down the hallway, like everything, even when nothing happened, they had it always set up of like every turned corner you were like, oh no.
This actually, Cam, you like have you
I've
seen
seen
The
bits
Shining?
of this movie.
So
I know he like breaks
here's
down the door.
Johnny.
Yeah.
You should someday watch it just because it's good.
Just all the way through.
Yeah, but also then look into like the details that went into making it. Like there's a chase scene in like a hedge maze, but earlier in the movie Jack Nicholson's wearing a tie that's green that's like looks like a hedge maze.
Oh, cool.
And then like the carpet means something and the windows mean it's crazy when you like look into that stuff.
Yeah.
But
that time in Hollywood, they were really getting
mm,
wild with the like mise en scène and like directing and adding these little like Easter eggs and stuff. And yeah,
plus it also ends and you're like, what does that mean? Like you don't it's like
yeah.
I still don't understand like really anything about it. I think I've seen it like 3 times.
Have you seen Doctor Sleep? Like the
No, I do
sequel?
want to see it. I heard it's good.
It's really good. It's a little more like there's a bit more action. Like it definitely is a little more in your face than the first one, but it's really good. Doesn't really answer any of the questions that I had
Is
from
that
the
a
first one,
sequel?
but it's all right. Yeah, it's like
Say that's
so
a
you know how
sequel. Oh,
the little boy is in The Shining? It's him all grown up and like
wow.
dealing with what happened in the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's played by Ewan McGregor, so it's really good.
Nice. It's funny when like another little divergent here, but it's funny how people will take things, like you said with the shower scene, and like redo them in their other movies. And I was actually watching, oddly enough, Finding Nemo last night, and um, Bruce the shark goes after Marlin and Dory at one point, and he's in like this like ship, and he hits a door, and he's like trying to push through the door, and he's like, "Here's Brucey," and I was like, "That is." I didn't even like when you first watch it. I don't know, but this is a directly like callback from The Shining. I was like, "That's hilarious." Pixar's great at that, anyways. Just like doing those little adult like funny things, but um, yeah, it's just a funny thing how you can see these little bits of other movies in new movies. Kind of cool.
Same with like the what is it like all work and no play
Makes Johnny a dull boy.
yeah, like that's been used. I feel like also in like comedies, like every type of genre takes from specifically The Shining.
Yeah.
So then I had Silence of the Lambs because I feel like these were all coming out in the same time, and I kind of always have melded those two movies together, even though
Yeah.
I guess they're years apart. But
That one I have seen all the way through.
that one was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is wild. Another really well done movie, though. I think.
I think it won Best Picture.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think it did. Yeah, that one's creepy.
I don't even remember much of it. I just remember like mainly the conversations in like the prison that take place.
Yeah.
I don't remember their names, but like the detective and Hannibal, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarice.
Yes. Yes. Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah, that one's awesome. That's definitely like, so The Shining and Silence of the Lambs are like definition of a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
You're like,
pretty iconic.
Like them talking and then her going to investigate the Buffalo Bill, like the actual killer that she's looking for, but using the other killer and cannibal to help her. It's just like perfect.
I had seen the episode of The Office with the CPR dummy before I saw Silence of the Lambs. So then when I finally saw the scene that he was referencing, I was like, oh. And everyone was like, yeah, like The Office stole it. I was like, I know, but it feels reversed right now, and it's even funnier.
Oh yeah, that was in The Office.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what's funny about like people our age now. It's like, oh, when you see like Silence of the Lambs second, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, I
They're
was like,
making
oh, that's
that.
yeah.
It's funny when this happens to me a lot because I guess I haven't seen a lot of iconic movies, but when you finally do get around to watching one, and it like fills in blanks of things that you've like seen or heard or joked about, and you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. I get it now. Kind of
Yeah,
funny.
you're gonna have a lot of that with already with just Psycho and The Shining.
Yeah, seriously.
So then you had said 7. I've heard a few people have watched this movie and they've all said that it like blew their mind and was like disturbing.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
It is so good.
Yeah.
You've seen it, right, Cam?
What's in the box?
Yeah. But don't.
I didn't
No
know that line was
spoilers.
from them.
Oh yeah. It's just awesome. It's these two detectives that have to follow a killer that's doing the 7 deadly sins. And it's kind of gross. And it's like just scary
like
at times.
Greed.
Envy. Gluttony. Yeah. You know, the 7 ones.
Yeah.
Rage.
Wait,
I don't know.
So there were murders that like showed these things.
In
Like
how he murdered them?
like gluttony, I think there was like a large
They-
overweight man who was like killed at a table with like food, like I don't know, something like that kind of
He
thing.
forced him to like basically eat till he died because he was already like grossly overweight.
Oh,
So then
God.
they show up on the scene, and it's like, I don't know if it's written on the wall or something, but it's like,
Yeah,
gluttony.
gluttony's like written somewhere. He like, it's so good in
And they're like, what is the deal?
yeah, and
And like,
then
I forget what the other ones are, but like lust and yeah, all of these murders are depictions of these deadly sins.
but
Oof.
the thing about the movie is the twist. There's actually two twists. There's a
Yes.
killer reveal twist where you're like, oh my God. And then there's the big ending one where it's just, I'm so surprised it hasn't been ruined for you.
Yeah, I
Because
have
it's
no
like
idea.
so iconic.
Maybe it's one of those things that like I've heard about it and I haven't connected, like, I don't know, didn't know it was that movie. Well, I want to know,
So-
but I'm not sure I'm ever gonna watch it if it's gross.
Oh, you gotta watch
It's
it.
like a little bit gross. I don't remember being that gross.
No, so it's like gross in that scene because of how he has to like kill the person.
Mm.
I think another one is like envy, and it's like someone cheating on someone, and it's just like they kill him. There are like
Okay.
two kind of gross ways that he goes about it with the sins, but no, like he matches the sins. So those two are like gross.
Okay. So I could like brace myself and look away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
So along these lines, I guess this kind of fits in along the psychological thriller. The next movie this was David Fincher, who made like Gone Girl and The Social Network and Seven. His next movie is actually on Netflix right now. The next one he made in 1997 called The Game, where this guy is like kind of in a rut in his life, and someone's like, hey, can I sign you up for this thing? And he's
Squid
like,
Game?
yeah. And it's basically he goes home one day and there's like a recording, like a VHS tape left at his house. And there's like a behind the scenes thing where his life is like taken over by this game, like over and over and over again. He thinks he stops, but it keeps going, and it's really, really good. I'd just seen it for the first time like last year, but it's like he thinks he's out of it. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm done doing this. I don't want to do it anymore. And then all of a sudden, it just like keeps creeping back in, and it's just along the lines of Seven. In actually, I watched the first episode of Squid Game like that. It's really good. So
Oh,
that's a recommendation.
Yeah, interesting.
that sounds good. I'll have to check that out. He made Gone Girl?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have seen Gone Girl.
So
That
Gone
movie was
Girl's
good.
the one with
Ben
Ben
Affleck?
Affleck, right? Oh man, that movie's wild. You know when you like hate a character?
Oh yeah.
I was so impressed with like how you like hated one character at one point, and then it switches and you hate a different character, and it's like, how did they do it? Like, how did you go from such emotional like turns? Pretty well done.
Yeah, that was like when she first goes missing. Spoiler alert, she's gone. Ben Affleck is like smiling next to the poster of her, and everyone in the movie is like, why is he smiling next to a poster of like his missing wife? And when you're watching it, you're like, why is he smiling next to a poster of his missing wife? They're like, he seems so guilty because he's like happy. But it's just because he's
great.
awkward.
Every part of that's so good. The like when he opens the garage, sees all the stuff, and you're just like, wait a second. Like, all that stuff is so good.
Yeah,
Actually,
that movie
geez,
has five twists.
David Fincher is like kind of the king of this because he made the. Have you seen the movie Zodiac about the Zodiac killer?
No, but I just put it on my Netflix watch list.
It's Jake Gyllenhaal and RDJ and Mark Ruffalo, and it's like a true story of trying to find the actual Zodiac killer in San Francisco. But it's also super creepy because obviously that a serial killer of real life is. But it's like the story of it, and it's like creepy. One of the guys like falls down this rabbit hole, and like his life gets ruined by it. And it's about journalists that try and find the guy, and it's really good. And it's the same guy that made Seven, Gone Girl, and The Game.
Mm.
He's a dark and twisted man.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez. Also, just ruling the genre.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to like a completely different set of movies, I also put on here Bates Motel because it's this prequel to Psycho, and it's a TV series, and it's you follow like Norman Bates and his mother, who's like kind of a big part of the movie as well, and it's like the story of like how like the motel comes around, like all this stuff. I almost said too much and like spoiled the movie for you, so I'm gonna stop talking now.
I was wondering like how you're gonna thread that needle.
Yep. I was
I didn't pick up on anything. But this is a show?
It's a show. It has
That's cool.
oh, I feel like you would know him. He
was Charlie in the remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
I think his name is Freddie Highmore.
Oh yeah.
I think did you watch that show like The Good Doctor?
Yeah.
Were you he's the doctor, like the younger one.
Oh, cool.
And then the mother is Vera Farmiga. I think that's her name, but she's like in the Conjuring movies. She's kind of like a big horror person. And it's really creepy. Just another kind of like psychological thriller.
Is that on
But
Netflix?
yeah, I think it was before, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got some watching to do
Got a lot to watch.
in the next 10 days.
All
then
5
it'll be
seasons
Halloween.
of Bates Motel are on Peacock.
Oh, Peacock.
Peacock. Nice.
So if we want to keep going in order, I had 2 more that go before like the next couple we have, and one is Sarah. I don't know if you've seen this, but Cam, The Secret Window with Johnny Depp. That's a psychological thriller. That's a good one.
I forget that. I can like picture scenes from it, but
he's a
writer.
He's a writer who then all of a sudden this creepy guy shows up and is like, you stole my story. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I wrote that story and it was published in some sort of like newspaper. But also the guy like shows up out of the woods, and then he's like threatening his ex-wife or something. But this whole time he's in a cabin writing. It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm writing all these down. You've been saying.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time to watch these. Like you said, we got 11 more days.
Yeah.
Then you don't watch them again until
next year.
Next October.
Right.
That one just reminded me because I forgot to put it on the list somehow. Misery.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about
your
that
movie.
when we were talking a second ago.
Yeah, I love that movie.
You were even in a TV show with that character.
In that world, yeah.
You've been in that world behind, like, Sarah has an IMDb page.
I was part of the misery world. What can I say? But yeah, that one. I like that one too. I mean, I guess it has moments of being hard to watch, but like I feel like that one is like I can watch it. I'm not gonna be like too creeped out by it. It's just like
Oh,
absolute chaos.
the ankle business for me in that one just makes me feel so like, oh, almost like lightheaded. Like, oh,
Yeah, that,
You
that
know
was
what's
pretty bad.
so great about it is she does this stuff to him, and she's like forcing him to write the book, but also forcing him. It's actually kind of like foreshadowing basically all of fandom right now. She's like, this person wouldn't do this. Like, he writes a version of the book, she reads it, and is like, I don't like how this went. Change it. And he's like so afraid of her. He's like, okay, because she's messed with him so much. And that's like Twitter right now with
yeah,
anything Star Wars, Marvel,
I was
anything
just
that
gonna
has
say,
like crazy fans.
yeah, wait, I didn't even think of that, but that's so true.
Yeah. It's like it's funny
That's
how she reacts like, no, this character, I know this character and they wouldn't do that way. And it's like, okay, I made the character up.
yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what happened between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. They were like, oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. So then the other one I had, which is one of my favorite movies, is Shutter Island.
Mm, I have seen that one.
I was like, I remember seeing that, like going in, like, oh yeah, DiCaprio and Scorsese, give it to me. And
Yeah,
then watching it and being like, I am genuinely scared right now. Like the latest scenes and then the like flashback scenes, I was like, this is scary.
yeah, that's a good one.
I still don't fully understand like what happened in some parts of that movie. I think that was one that I like finished and I was like, maybe I
I
just
feel like,
wasn't
yeah,
following.
I feel like Leo's got a couple of like, he's in a couple of different thrillers. That one, what's the Premonition Road or something? Is that what it's called? The one with
Revolutionary Road.
is that it?
I think so. I
Something
think you're
with the
thinking.
kids, the wife and the kids, and
I think you're thinking of Revolutionary Road and Road to Perdition.
Road to
Those are,
Perdition. Yes.
but that's Tom Hanks.
Oh, well. Anyways, Leo's in a scene where like the kids, his kids and the wife. You know what I'm talking about?
You're thinking
The
about
wife
Shutter
kills.
Island?
You're
No,
thinking
the
about Shutter Island.
It's
oh,
Shutter
is it?
Island.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. They're all blending together.
When we
Anyway,
talk, everyone listening, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in the lake.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that's Shutter Island.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's rough.
So that
I
little
go ahead.
oh go ahead.
No. Never mind. What I was gonna say is wrong anyway, so I don't want to say it.
Okay. I just had a little anecdote about that scene where it shows the mother and the children. That's at a park that's near Foxborough. It's like a big like state park. And I went to it and the house that's like their house was really it's really just like an empty like cement building that's just like there at this park and you can just like walk in and out of it.
Hmm.
It's like not a house at all. It's like just this little
Did
like
they like?
part of the park.
Did they do like digital effects to make it look different?
They
Or
must have because it's like not a house at all. And it's just like you can just like sit right by the river where it's like spoiler alert, she drowns the kids. And I was like, oh, this
Jesus?
is kind of eerie.
Yeah.
People had like their dogs running around. I'm like, wow, what a different
Huh.
vibe they created here.
Yeah, that is crazy. I feel like we had to mention Fight Club. in this mess. No?
Oh, interesting.
I
Spoiler
feel like
alert. Another David Fincher movie.
yeah, I feel like some of these aren't like spooky. Like there are some thrillers that aren't necessarily in that spooky net. Like, and I feel like Fight Club's in there. Like I would watch Fight Club not in October, but
Yeah.
but there are a couple like really good thrillers. Like that one. That reminds me of like Seven, or you know what I mean. I guess Fight Club isn't as like gory, but it's got some good twists.
I mean, there's a gory scene where he beats up Jared Leto.
That's true.
But yeah, that is that. I never. It's funny. I would never think of it as that, but it is totally psychological. I mean, he has like split
Wild.
personality disorder, and
Yeah.
huh,
Good.
that is a good call.
Oh, thank you. All right.
So I had one on Wind River, and at first I didn't know if it was a thriller, but then I looked it up, and like a lot of people seem to think it also is. It's not scary, but the whole movie, it's like that feeling of like anticipating and
Ugh.
like nervous. It's very like real world though. So basically, I think it takes place. I don't remember what state it takes place in, but it's like a Native American reservation, and Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye from Marvel, is just like a guy who he's like a hunter for the reservation. Like he just takes care of like the wolves that sometimes show up in people's farms,
With his bow and
but
arrow.
with like a sniper.
Oh.
But he gets involved in this case where his friend's teenage daughter is found dead, like 2 miles off the reservation, like in the mountains. And everyone's like, how did she end up here? Like she clearly had walked and then dropped. So there's like a lot of mystery of like, how did she end up here? And people are like, well, she was last seen with the boyfriend. Like it's all these stories going around. And then the FBI agent who's sent to help deal with it is Elizabeth Olsen. And basically, it's kind of like it's a movie that's like really informative too, because it actually deals with the fact that like it's very hard to get FBI and police actually involved in crimes on a reservation. Usually, like, no one cares. But she's like, I actually do care, and if we don't solve this like now, they're gonna like call me back and like we'll never find out what happened. So it's them like trying to solve this mystery. And it's
Ooh.
it's definitely a dark one. It's a bit of a bummer. So
So there's that.
watch at your own risk, but it's on Netflix.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So you guys, I guess we've fallen off the list. So I'll ask you guys. You both loved Behind Her Eyes. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that one. That one was. I don't feel like it was like disturbing and like an uncomfortable, like a. I don't know. It was. I guess the word wasn't disturbing, but it was just so like uncomfortable and made you mad, and it like you know what I mean.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like it's
But it had an
not
awesome
disturbing, it's
twist.
infuriating.
It's infuriating, yes.
Yeah.
Like the disturbing can sometimes mess with you. You're like, oh, I want to watch like a good movie like, or a good show and like follow the journey and whatever. And then you're like, oh, I kind of feel just not good about this. This one, you were just like, oh, I'm like angry because it was so good. And like there was a great twist. And you know what I mean? You're like excited to be infuriated.
Yeah.
And this one had that, which was good. I think that like is a good line to walk where you're leaving your audience not completely like, oh, I don't feel good about this at all. And like, I'm mad about this, but that was really well done. Like, that's what I want to come out of these like types of movies with.
Mhm.
And yeah, that one had a great twist.
Yeah, it was like the craziest twist.
School's out.
So I recommend that one.
All right. I'll put it on my list. I'm actually in
Have
a
you
little bit of a
guys
show hole. Maybe I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I also
Also,
think.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say the Ready or Not one.
Yeah,
Kind
it's
that. Did you watch it?
no, it's not on a streaming service.
Ah, well,
I mean, I
that
could
one.
rent it, but
That one has that same kind of vibe for me. It was just like, is this for real? And then you're like, that one had some gory parts and was like kind of wild, but you didn't feel like sick to your stomach. You were just more like, holy smokes, like this is insane. And then yeah, you kind of like are like, okay, this is how it turned out, and pretty just a wild story. But that one's good. That's a lot of edge of your seat on that one.
Mm. Also, I don't know if you would like You. I could see you
You're
getting
talking
like
to me?
me.
I think Cam, I think you would like it. Tom, for some reason, I feel like you might get annoyed with the main character.
Okay.
It's a lot of
What
like.
is so? Give us the little like. What is you?
Okay,
Who are you?
you is you. Okay, so basically, it's Penn Badgley. Do you know that actor? Who's in
I
Gossip
mean,
Girl?
I've seen the preview. It's like always at the top of Netflix, so it just starts playing the preview all the time. And
Yeah.
I get that he's like this like creeper guy that tries to get close to people, but I don't, is that it?
So
What's the hook?
he is like a stalker basically, but he doesn't consider himself to be one, and he gets hyper fixated on usually one person, and it's always a woman, and like stalks them and like worms his way into their life, but he has like he's like messed up. So like if they're not into him, it gets like a little crazy. He doesn't take rejection well.
Jeez.
Um, but he presents himself as like the perfect guy, and he truly believes he is. So like they fall for it. It's kind of like the whole like Ted Bundy thing of like people don't think that he could ever be anything but bad because he's like a conventionally attractive man. So he can like get away with all these things, and then each season is definitely like very different. Like it's hard to say too much without like spoiling anything. But what makes it like most interesting is like he's the main character, and he's like who you're getting the whole story through. And like there's a lot of voiceover, and it's his voiceover. That's what I was saying. I think Tom, you might be like, oh, I hate this guy. Because he just kind of sounds pretentious. But so like you kind of like identify with this horrible man because he's the main character. So you have to. And I feel like that's why it's like a really interesting show. So even when he's doing horrible things, like I have
Does it
moments
get
where I'm like, oh man, like he better hurry up. And then I'm like, why am I hoping he gets out of this? Like,
does it get super disturbing, or where would you rate it on that?
It's
Where
not
would you rate it on the girl on the train being the lowest and the highest being Midsommar?
Oh. I would give it like a
In between?
like an in between, maybe
I'd give
like
it a Silence of the Lambs.
It's
I would
very
give it
arbitrary.
like a Psycho,
Okay.
but not as spooky. But it's very like.
Is it rated R?
I don't think
It's a
so.
Netflix. It's a Netflix show.
I think the first season originally aired on like an actual channel, so it's a
Oh.
little more reserved. And then season 2 and season 3 are all Netflix, so they're definitely a little more like
TVMA.
out there. Yeah, but yeah, it gets crazier in the next few seasons. But like, I can't really say why without like kind of spoiling things.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Well, it's pretty popular. It's number 1 right now on Netflix, right?
so good. Yeah. And then have you guys seen The Invisible Man?
I haven't.
No.
On HBO. It came out last year. It's really good. It surprised me.
Is
It
that the
has
Jason Bateman one? No. What was that?
no
What was that
Elizabeth Moss.
two places at once murder thing?
The
We
Outsider.
talked
Oh,
The Outsider, yeah. All right, sorry. The Invisible Man. Go for
yeah,
it.
this is Elizabeth Moss from like Handmaid's Tale.
Oh.
And it was when the trailer first came out, people were criticizing it, saying that it gave away the entire movie. But then when you see the movie, I was like, wait, I think the trailer might have been genius because it's like you think you know everything that's going to happen because of the trailer, and it's nothing like what you are expecting. There's like a
Ooh.
twist that like throws everything off, and it's like genuinely it like had me scared because you literally don't see what's happening until it's happening, like to her,
Jeez.
because he's invisible. but but yeah, I recommend it. Her acting is also like so good. Like there's one scene where she's being like thrown around the room and like dragged and everything, and the behind the scenes video came out, and it's literally her like attached to like a cable, and they're genuinely like throwing her around the room and like dragging her like across like walls and stuff, and she's just
Jeez.
like doing it.
I saw
Wow.
that looks really cool.
Yeah,
Like the making of it.
Wow.
yeah. So that's my recommendation. Well, I guess I do have a few, but
So that's on HBO right now?
yeah,
Cool.
that's a good one.
I really liked Us,
Oh,
the Jordan
yes,
Peele movie, which I think is also on HBO.
it is.
Is it? So
Yeah.
this is I haven't seen Get Out or Us. And I know that's bad.
Oh yeah, we have Get Out on here too. Get Out is, I would
Which
say
one do you think's
Get
better?
Out. Get Out's better. And Get Out's more of the thriller, like manipulation, thriller. Us is more of a horror, I would say. Still thriller-ish,
Yeah.
but Get Out
Yeah.
Get Out's just awesome. There's like no other way to say it. And then Us is really good. It's not, obviously, I just said it's not as good, but it's like creepier.
Yeah.
He like leans more into the creepiness horror in Us.
Us scared me for like a week. It bothered
But
me.
also with both of them, it just has that like thriller like twist in both. They both have one, and you're just like, oh my god.
I dig it.
Get Out is like, even if they took the scary aspects away, it would still be such a good movie. Like it's just like so well written, and it's like funny, and then the thriller being added into it just makes it even better. So you'd
Yeah,
probably,
I
I think
mean,
you'd really like Get Out.
Me,
yeah,
yeah. That's what I've heard.
it doesn't
I like
have like, there are like a couple like where you're like, oh god, and Get Out, but that's not the kind of movie it is. It's more like what you were saying with what were you just saying, where you're like getting mad. You're like,
yeah. You get mad or you're like,
don't you see what's happening here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess for this whole genre, it's walking that line of, not to say this again and again, but walking that line of like, is this really impressive and like a great twist and like edge of your seat the whole time, or is this like a really disturbing concept that like doesn't make me feel good? And as you guys know, for me, like I can only do so many shows that are like this like really heavy stuff, just because I don't want to watch all this sad stuff all the time. But you got to watch them to see what you're going to get. Is it going to be this like really intense thing, or is it going to be this really impressive thing? So
Mm.
Yeah, that's where I think you'll find with Get Out, it's like just perfectly
impressive.
down that line.
Yeah. Very cool.
I got one more show.
Okay.
The Undoing, also on HBO. It came out last year. It has Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant.
Oh yeah, is that like a murder mystery courtroom thing?
Yes. And their son is the son from A Quiet Place, and he's really good too. So it's like all well cast, but
Oh,
this,
A Quiet Place would be a good one for this list.
yeah,
Yeah. We had that on the
Quiet
monster
Place
one
hits
though.
like every
Oh yeah,
category.
it was kind of the monster thing. I forgot. Yeah, sorry, you were saying The Undoing.
But yeah, so this woman, it's kind of this elite school that their child attends, and they're like deep in like the whole community of this like rich private school lifestyle. And this new mother kind of gets in there, and her son starts attending the school. And just when everyone's kind of like, oh, like who is this woman? She's found dead, like murdered. And yeah. And all this isn't like a spoiler. This is like how the show was presented. Like all signs point to like Nicole Kidman's perfect, lovable husband who's like a doctor. So it's kind of the same thing as like I think I was saying it about like you. Like everyone's like, it can't be him. But like everything is saying it is. So it's kind of the whole family is like, well, what do we do? So it's the whole like who done it thing. But
Yeah,
And that's
I
only
do.
like a mini series, right?
yep, it's over.
I do like that part of this genre as well. The like mystery piece. I feel like a lot of movies with like that murder mystery or like the detective thing, like a lot of them fall into that category, and it's just a great way to tell a story and unfold these like clues and then they hit you with the twists, and you're like, wow, okay, wow, that was wild.
I feel like a lot of them have like Girl on the Train, um, in The Undoing kind of has it too. A lot of thrillers that are psychological kind of have the aspect too of like the main characters gets convinced like no you're just crazy, like this isn't actually a thing, like you're just like losing your
Yeah,
mind, and then you as the viewer are like oh no but she's not, like,
yeah.
and then that's like the whole thriller thing too. That's like in The Invisible Man too. That's a huge part of it, and I like love that stuff.
Yeah. Very cool.
Just gotta charge my laptop, don't mind me.
Scene change. Well, that's a good way to go right into looking ahead.
Yeah, give me 1 minute.
Whoa.
Had to plug it in. Well, anyways, let's look ahead now.
Oh, solid
I
list.
Yeah, I'm. Oh, Camel, would you say? I know you've mentioned it a couple times. Would you put them into this category? That show on Prime?
Oof. That was the like the racism one that I
Yeah.
yeah. That one with my line, that one gets very into the disturbing lot like side of things on that threshold. Um but it does have the like really well done aspect, so you're not completely like, oh, what just happened? But yeah, there's definitely some heavy stuff in there. But absolutely, as far as thriller goes, it's just like constant, and yeah, it can be a lot, but it's good.
And then I don't. know. I know it's a no from you, Cam, but Sarah, you've seen Midsommar, right? Oh, you
No.
haven't.
What's
No.
a brief recap of that or premise?
This couple is like on the rocks, so they go to Sweden for the Midsommar festival, which is just like I forget if it's like one of their friends in a friend group from college is like Swedish, and they go
Yes.
to his village for this midsummer festival where it's like daylight all the time, and they get into their like rituals, which turn out to be like completely barbaric, and there's a lot. So it's a group of college friends that go, including the couple, and Florence Pugh is the main character, and there's a lot of like the friend group starts disappearing, and it's like you're not sure what's happening because the friend group's disappearing, and then it's like, I mean, they're like eating something, and they're the way you're like, they're just like the whole movie set up. You're watching, and you're like, are they eating the friend that just disappeared? It's like little things like that. It's not all just eating the friend. It's like the, I don't know. They set it up. You really never know what's happening, and these people are disappearing, and there's like subliminal stuff and just like outright, right in your face, death and murder. It's just crazy. And at the end, you're just like, I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel good at all about that movie. That's not
Was
so
like
far.
Burning Man went wrong, like kind of festival, like.
It's not even that. It's just like they're there, and it's like one of the friends is writing a thesis about the ceremony, like just like talking to the locals, and like they think it's just this thing that they do, and they're like college kids. So one day they just like eat mushrooms, and they're just like tripping, and then it's just like not what they expect.
Jeez.
But it is a movie that I probably will never watch again.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it, but I read the entire synopsis because I was curious. Yeah, you described it perfectly.
Yeah, I think if you're giving it a to the disturbing side of the threshold or the spectrum, I'm gonna go with probably not gonna watch that.
If you watch that, you're gonna want to watch like Remember the Titans after. Like, I need a complete vibe change here.
You're gonna go all the way to Remember the Titans? That means it's rough.
So I think that's everything that I had that stuck out to me for thrillers.
Yeah, me too.
For looking ahead, Dune comes out tomorrow night on HBO.
Yeah, this is a time where I really wish the rates of the pandemic had plummeted, because I would love to see this in a theater, but I have HBO, so I'll probably just watch it at home.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What is do we know what Dune? I feel like I don't know what Dune is about, or at least I'm forgetting. Do we have a trailer?
Oh yeah, we have a trailer. I mean, we could pull one up now that you can share your screen, Sarah. But also, it was a book series, and then it was made into a movie in the 80s, and it was supposed to be this like huge thing, and then it flopped, but now it's like a cult favorite. Like, people are like, no, Dune's awesome, Dune's the best, but it's like, that cult following thing.
Yeah.
But now it's like blown out with Timothée Chalamet, Jason Momoa, Zendaya, like Oscar Isaac. It's huge. So it was supposed to be like the biggest movie of the summer, and then it got pushed back a full year, and now it's coming out just on the like dual HBO Max and in the theaters.
Right.
The outsiders ravage our land. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known.
So you're going tomorrow?
Yes, I'm going tomorrow with the advance team.
I'd like you to take me with you.
Are you trying to get me court-martialed?
Can I trust you with something? I've been having dreams about a girl falling in battle. Felt like a vision.
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
To the future of House Atreides.
You have to be ready.
There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray.
They're not human, they're brutal.
What if I'm not dead? You'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be.
Come on!
My son. I know you.
Tonight, the bloodline ends forever. Kill them all.
This is an extermination. They're picking my family off one by one. Only together can we stand a chance.
Let's fight like demons.
It's not safe for you here.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. When the fear is gone, only I will remain.
This is only the beginning.
All right.
So there's Dune.
It's basically just shot in dunes.
That's why they call it Dune.
I guess so. I am definitely a Momoa guy. I don't know if that comes as a surprise to anyone, but like it's like The Rock and then like Jason Momoa.
Are you a big, beefy, handsome man? Then Cam's, you're Cam's guy.
It's true.
Do you have the physique Cam wishes he had? Are you 6'6"?
Welcome to my favorites list.
No, but so I guess one thing I've heard is people are like have seen it have been like, what is this? Like, what's going on? And then the little like foreshadowing there is when Zendaya goes, "This is just the beginning," because it was like a 7 or 9 book series.
Yeah, we definitely
And-
got at least a trilogy coming.
Right, and I've heard someone say that what they should have done is just called it Dune Part 1 or Dune Chapter 1, so that people know. Because I think people have left, like the screenings or whatever, and been like, "What was that?" Because they must not like wrap up. But I'm excited. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll tune in.
Well, and they said this is the next Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. So I feel like that's another way of
Right.
them saying there's gonna be a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, and I really like the director. Have you seen Arrival?
Yeah. Oh, it's
He
him.
he directed that, yeah. And then
How's it?
Sicario. I love Sicario with Emily Blunt. So good.
Mm.
So I'm excited because I think he's good. So they didn't just have a nobody do it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, looks good. Excited.
So that's tomorrow. And yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing that's like coming soon right now.
Yeah.
That's the big one. And it's been pushed off for like over a year. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of excitement. Oh, Tom left the meeting.
Sorry. Hit a button.
Whoa.
Hard out, huh?
After
Jeez.
Dune, you're just like, there's nothing else to talk
Yeah, I'm done.
But we pretty much are done because I didn't get a letterbox review. Being
Oh,
on
we got a
Google
lot of
threw off my vibe.
yeah. We got a lot of good thrillers to watch, and we got Dune to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will be back next week for our final week of Spookfest before Halloween. And then we'll
Sounds
have
good.
our full list to recommend to everybody.
For the following year.
Yeah, because you only have
Next
like 4 days to watch all. All right, so we'll see you next time on Stream It.